Dulce lignum, dulce clavos, dulce pondus sustine, o corpus nostros salutis, oro de por nos ora. Unde dormis prodito, exultatem valore, et midillam feverinde, hostis unde lasira. Prox fidelis inter omnes, arboruna nobili, ulla silvadatem profet, onde flore germine. Lustras ex quam iam peregit, tempus implens corporis, sponte libera redemptor, passioni de Dio. Agnos crucios in lavato, immolandus debite. Hello, everybody. I'm a little tired today. Let's see. I just want to reiterate, Tim and Eric makes me sick just to think about. And it's also random humor that's appropriated into the minds of like sick internet poison consumers, you know? It's Gen Xers taking millennial culture and making it gross, annoying, and autistically sexual for no reason. All it is mimetic hazards. It's like advertising in that way, and that's why I say like the poisoned minds of Gen X who got fed way too much advertising quality of life that they were provided. It's so wild that iconoclastic Protestants so often turn to atheism due to the conditioning of not wanting to insult scientific realists. You see this time and time again. And then they turn around and let those same scientific realists let them they babble about quantum physics and they just pass it off like that's not incredibly insulting to anybody who prides themselves on telling the truth. Like all quantum physics is speculation. And when people produce quantum physics and say this is new science, this is groundbreaking discovery, they're just liars. They're like outright liars. And that's sort of a new religion in a way. No, I say it's fascinating that you have star worshipping on the level that it is today when our ancestors thought it was part of a firmament. And outside of the firmament is manifestations of divine willpower moving actively in the mind of God. Now, that's kind of what it is in a way, as I've said, but it's not how our ancestors pictured it when they put the zodiac in order. It's not at all how they pictured it, which is a less anthropomorphized version of what we have today, which is entirely a selfish science meant to distract people from what's real problems. Thanks, Nancy Reagan. Nudibranchs are fascinating fellers. They can put anemone cells inside of them for a spicy defense system. I always found that very fascinating. They are essentially the real hybrids, if you really want to look at it. And there's lots of other hybrid, long-term growing together, hybridizing sort of plants, but like that's the only one I can think of. The nudibranchs are the only one that I can think of that'll actually take in the cells of another animal and not uh, breed in order to fundamentally change the structure of their bodies. It's very fascinating. Nudibranchs are over in Bali, Lembe, the Indonesia region. Very beautiful, probably some of the most beautiful creatures on planet Earth. Although octopi are pretty cool too. Toads, octopuses. Bad, it depends on if you're Greek, Dutch, or speaking in a Latinized tongue like English. For us, it's octopi because that's Latinized, and English is a role player Latin language. Movies with real animals that use CGI to make them talk is one of the all-time unintentional horror moves for movies. They didn't even realize what they were creating with that Uncanny Valley crap, and it dated so poorly. Like, I still think Beowulf looks cool, right? Because it's all in CGI, but the mix of CGI and real life is very hard to do. Think Roger Rabbit, right? That's a proper way of doing things. Now think if you've seen this, there's like a new Disney movie. I'm not sure. It has like all sorts of Disney characters. I'm not sure if it was like Alvin and the Chipmunks or Chip and Dale. But it probably all those things crammed together in a romp. But like, yeah, it's like Disney like death rattle of what Disney used to be is when that movie came out, and it has a horrifying mix of CGI, cartoons, and real life. Very poorly done. I think, yeah, I think it was Chip and Dale. Yeah, it was Chip and Dale, and one of the chipmunks had CGI surgery so that they looked CGI, and the other one still looked cartoon. And then it was set in real life, and it was a big mess. I tell you, watch Brendano do a review on that the other day. His main channel's content is really good. Like I'm glad that he's got like six figures on some of those watches, but it's ironic that the B movie script ended up being like his 5 minutes in the sun. uh he's still got tons of potential for growth down the line, and I just hope that he can manage to avoid the things, get the ghosts out of his bones, because help isn't coming down from the highest order like I thought it was. And it's sad because like outside of my own autistic obsessions, the people that I like and like to watch, tons of people, children, are growing up with issues. Tons of people are suffering, and it's not good. It's not good. We are hoping that somebody would come in, ban petroleum dyes. We're still calling them food dyes. They're not food dyes. Ban petroleum-based dyes. Get the PFAS out of our water supply. We were hoping, and just don't give up hope. It still could come down the line potentially. A guy who looks like John Fetterman with a face tattoo who organized a satanic celebration at the Kansas Capitol got arrested for assaulting people. You're gonna get bullied in jail. I guarantee they do not like that shit. Pardon my French, they really don't like it. And he was like having fun, owning the libs, triggering the libs, whatever the hell they call it over in the satanic church. Um, Desecrating potentially Holy Eucharist, because if you got it from the Novus Ordo, it's hard to tell, right? I mean, it's not guaranteed for even traditional priests. So, like, but regardless, in action and intent, trying to desecrate the communion wafer that they do benediction for Catholic Church and stuff, and somebody like jumped on top of it and he just started beating them, and then he tried to assault somebody inside of the Capitol, and like the police officer immediately like flipped his leg up and slammed him on his back and arrested him. That went a little viral. That was fun to watch. Pray for their souls. You know, people make fun of Jews for not touching electricity on Saturday, but if everybody chose one day of the week to not touch technology and just decompress, we'd live in a much happier society. I firmly believe that to be true. And for that matter, those Jews aren't even the problems. Those Jews aren't the issues. It's the ones who don't go to church and bomb children that are the issues. Those are Zionists. Those are hardcore Zionists. A lot of the religious Jews have a lot of questioning for this, and it's kind of like go back to 2002. The Americans that were like a million American flags and just straight up outright lying about Muslims. You're actually seeing this like reviving is being pushed with algorithms all over the internet. It's reviving to try and set the stage for consent, mass consent, be manufactured for more Muslim genocides, more millions of people being slaughtered, more children being killed. But if you go back to 2002, you'll kind of see what Zionism looks like in your own culture, which is and which is the crazy thing is we found out both about October 7th and 9/11 that a lot of these things were planned. They knew about them. They could have prevented them. They didn't prevent them. They didn't make things better. They didn't go after the guys actually responsible. And what they did was they used it as a casus belli to initiate a large-scale defensive war against the entire region, adjacent, not even directly from where these people came from. So if you go back to 2002 and you remember that, that's what it feels like to witness Zionism from your own country as a Jew in Israel. And for us, it is that same sort of hyper-nationalism. You go back to the 1935 and you'll see, Germans witnessing it coming up. And the tragedy was World War I and what that did to Germany and their financial issues stemming from that. That's exactly how that is created, manufactured. It's not good, folks. It's not good. Hi, my name's Tim. I believe that China's the most biggest threat to the United States, and my favorite thing to do is suck on batteries. I was thinking, and it's true, a lot of welfare goes right back into the economy. Now, before you go wondering, Social Security is not welfare. It's closer to an 401k. If you consider, bonds to be welfare, then maybe Social Security is welfare in your book. But it's not. It's a pension. Pensions aren't welfare. But still, it goes right back into the economy. If Grandpa doesn't get scammed, that is. That's the biggest thing you got to look out for. Is the fact that Grandpa's so easily scammed. Which, hate to see it, but it's true. It's true. Everybody knows it. Even Grandpa knows he's more likely to get scammed than other people. That's why it's imperative that he tries to read up on that stuff and keep up to date with that stuff and contact his grandkids, and his grandkids should contact him. And like this culture that we have in America where everybody just goes their own way constantly. You click up with your friends. You wait to have a kid for a very, very long time. Your kid hardly ever sees their grandparents after they're like 5 years old. If that reprieve time for the grandparents to see their grandkids. Everybody's just shooting out in like different countries, different states, and it's insane. It is genuinely bad for raising strong families with a contiguous culture, knowledge, and skill that's passed down from generation to generation. And in that, one of the consequences is that grandparents and great-grandparents end up very isolated in most Protestant settings. I hate to say it like that, but it's true. That's where it mostly comes from, is the Norman culture that developed into Anglicanism. And Normandy is very adjacent to the swells of Calvinism. So, like, you see Spanish all the way to Filipino. You got 4 generations living in one roof. Protestants would consider that to be like strangling of their freedoms. But That's the poison. That's the problem, is that attitude, right? And it provides nothing but misery. And you hate people more because you're around people that you can trust less. And then society goes down in trust over time. And it's even worse and worse and worse as things develop. I hate to put it that way. And the Novus Ordo Catholics are no better. It's literally just Protestantism. They got rid of like most of the. Even my Catholic grandparents ended up getting a divorce later on in their lives because of the Novus Ordo poison getting in. Yeah, so it's no different. It's no different. I'm just glad I got to spend a lot of time with my grandfather. I wish I got to spend more time with my uncle before he passed away early from a heart attack at the age of like 56. He was a very good man. Very good man. And yeah, sucks. But hey, it is what it is, you know. You never really know when God's going to call you home. So live each day like it's your last, and say your prayers and focus on, you know, not just as the way as you have bad dreams when bad things happen to you and you put yourself in bad situations or you interpret things poorly. You make a mountain out of a molehill and get all upset. You have worse dreams than if you wouldn't. Those dreams can be, you know, those dreams. Okay, so here's the scientific realist way of explaining it. When you dream, your pineal gland produces dimethyltryptamine, N-dimethyltryptamine, a bioavailable organic version of dimethyltryptamine. Extracting the pineal gland does nothing. There is no such thing as adrenochrome. It is a literary tool invented by Hunter S. Thompson to explain why the elites are creating this psychic storm of pain, molestation, and destruction, which is just, you know, it's a way of feeding into cachectomy systems, keeping a downtrodden populace, making people too sick to organize and create a better system that would eventually override the system of neo-slavery that you have set up after Andrew Johnson reversed a lot of the stuff that Abraham Lincoln was going to do for the country. So your pineal gland, when you die, dumps all of its DMT, and you have a dream, a big, 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 big dream. And if, like, hell is a nightmare, and heaven is a beautiful dream, in a way. So that's the thing, is like you're leaving your body, you're going towards this place. A lot of people, they want to say, if I can't see it with my eyes, that can't see microbiological things, they can't see what's going on in the inside of the star, but if I can't see it with my eyes, it's not real. Well, regardless, I can still use that terminology to reason with you. And for people that know what's up, they know that that's the area that their soul is being directed. Your brain weighs less the second that you die. There is something called the anterior fontanelle that looks like a fountainhead. It's where your soft spot closes from when you're a baby, which is why babies are so close to God. There's no other place for them to go. Just immediately just pew, right up to heaven. And that closes as you get older, but it still creates this fountainhead, and it has like a fountainhead to it. And your consciousness gets launched through that, and people call it lucid dreaming or whatever the heck, but the concept is the same. Lucid dreaming sounds a little bit less laughable when you realize that, does it not? But yeah, that is what it is, you know. Got off on multiple tangents on that, so let's just move on, shall we? I wonder what they did with gladiators once they won their freedom. After they're all tuned up like that, just put them in the Roman equivalent of suburbs. Meet your new neighbor. Oh. Apparently DeSantis is a Thailand guy. He would call it a Thailand guy, and I'm not joking about this. It's one of the creepiest stories from this guy from his dating career, his dating years. When he would get upset when the women he would date would not call Thailand Thailand. But it's horrifying to think that the first thing he did as governor was loosing the laws. Excuse me. He went on a Israeli yacht and signs an anti-First Amendment bill, the same bill that Biden and the Congress would push forward after October 7th. He did that 3 years earlier. Him and Greg Abbott, Governor Hot Wheels, are the most rabid, foaming at the mouth Zionists in the entire country, the biggest sellouts, the people who have destroyed their own states the most and let the worst parasites in that are festering inside of our country and then spreading and metastasizing cancer all to the rest of our country, destroying it, genuinely destroying it for the next generations. And yeah, that was the first thing that he did as governor. And a Thailand guy, here's another thing that he's doing. He's bringing back child labor and loosening the laws requiring safety and appropriate hours per school. Oh boy. SB 918, if you're curious about that. It's really sick, man. It's really sick. It's really sick. Like, genuinely. But hey, Italy is just Thailand for women, you know? Never trust a woman just visiting. It's pretty self-explanatory. If you know, you know. Moving on. I apologize, by the way. RFK does not seem to be the crypto genius waterkeeper that's going to do the number one thing that our country needs, which is the destruction of chemical dumping in both our waters and our food. He seems to care about Israel and nootropic scam diets more than the actual health of our nation. Hate to report, but we'll see. We'll monitor that as it goes on. At this rate, he probably won't even issue a public health statement about seed oils. That'd be a little tepid little thing that you could do. You know, your base is already there. But not if, you know, your cabinet neighbor is a seed oil lobbyist. That's not good at all. It really does suck that our Congress has kind of become kind of like one of those pay-to-win video games where you just buy all the stuff and then you win. And you beat people who are trying to compete with skill alone. That is not good. However, it is the current American zeitgeist. And all the children of these people are probably got gambling addictions and credit card debt. Let's hope not. Like, with the money that these people have, let's hope they don't have credit card debt. Good golly. Make something of yourselves. But hey, all the park rangers are getting rehired, it seems, with back pay. Not because of Elon, but because we have constitutional rights against firing people for no reason without a just due diligence and just causes. You just can't do that. Our country isn't exclusively an executive branch, regardless of what you say. We have three branches: executive, judicial, and legislative. And they have checks and balances. They all have to be somewhat equal. So that means the judicial branch with the police and stuff like that can't be over the executive branch or the legislative branch. The legislative branch with Congress can't be over the executive or the judicial branch. And the executive can't be over the judicial and the legislative branch, although they all monitor each other and they all essentially handicap each other so that each branch does not have a supreme power over the entire country. It helps laws move through slower, and if you're actually concerned about the real argument about red tape and stuff like that, if you're actually concerned about bureaucratic overreach, you can't just be like, well, I like the guy, ergo he should be able to do whatever he wants. No, he should be able to do a third of whatever he wants in the country. It's that simple. And if you can't accept that, then you do not have any place in politics. Like, there are too many people that have worked extremely hard. I even have inklings of potentially becoming a lawyer because I genuinely care about this stuff. There are too many people who've worked extremely hard. There are too many people who his entire life and job is to make sure that the country, they are the foundation on which the rest of the country sits. that you're not going to just go and crack that up without severe consequences. And a lot of these Argentinian Israeli freaks, these Ukraine freaks, these German freaks, they actually do want to destroy everything. But yeah, it is what it is. You're going to have to face. It's not going to be easy. Nor should it. I'm already figuring out the AI poison dialect. I'm already devising autistic machinations to circumvent the brainwashing that induces and actually communicate with these poor wayward souls. Give me some time. I'll figure it out. The world ends with Blue Chew, now on Nintendo DS. Arch is a good Warhammer lore channel. He rolls the hell out of his R's, though. Very fancy. Alright, y'all. That's good for today. Cheers.